Hey there, it is Dusty Thunder once again with another story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for renting my dead mom's house to a friend when I moved, despite my sister's request? So my mom passed away last year with no will. It's just me, female 33, and my older sister who is 50. My sister lives 2 hours away in her own home, and I'm currently living in the house my mother owned. When our mom passed, I told my sister I would assume responsibility of the house and pay all the utilities and home warranty insurance. I'm about to move to San Antonio for a better job opportunity and want to rent the house out to my good friend whom I trust so she can take care of the house while I'm gone. She will live there maybe a year. At that time, my boyfriend and I will be more than financially stable enough to live somewhere else, but still pay for everything the house needs. Quick backstory, the house my mom owned is a family home. My great-grandparents built it in the 50s, and we are the only family that has lived in the house. It's a really amazing home. That's really cool. Does anybody else have a family home that like your ancestors built? When I told my sister I planned to rent the house out to my friend while gone, she absolutely lost her mind and had basically an emotional breakdown, crying, screaming, and cussing at me, wondering why the hell I would think it would be okay for an outsider to live in our family home. To be honest, I'm thinking all of this in a very logical way because I don't want to have to pay for all the home expenses while transitioning to a completely new city, a new job, and essentially maybe struggle in the process. I asked her to pay half the expenses, and even though she fought it at first, she agreed. However, time has passed since then, and I'm realizing how absolutely ridiculous it would be to leave our home completely empty for months at a time without anyone being there to upkeep everything. And yes, I don't want to pay any bills during this time. I'm planning on just calling my sister soon and telling her that since I assumed responsibility of the house, it's my call to make and I will be moving my friend in. I don't see her doing anything besides just hating and resenting me for a while, which honestly I don't care about at this point since she's viewing this entire situation emotionally and not logically. So, am I the asshole for telling my sister to basically go F herself so I can rent the house out and not have to worry about it at all, especially if this is just temporary? Okay, there's an edit. Before we get into the edit, what do you think? I think, so what your sister is flipping out about, OP, is the outsider thing, right? If it was another family member, probably wouldn't have an issue at all. It is somebody who's not a family member living in a house that has only been occupied by family members at this point. Now, you assumed all of the responsibility of the house to this point. You are keeping that responsibility in there with having your friend move in here because ultimately the friend you would be the friend's landlord, right? And you would still be ultimately responsible for everything. Your sister didn't want an outsider to live in there, so the compromise was to split expenses 50-50 and leave it empty, but then you said, no, that's stupid, screw it. So your options here are to have your friend move in. I mean, I don't know what the legality is here. Because there was no will left behind, I don't know who has control of it. In your position, I would say, look, I'm going to have my friend stay there to house sit. Don't view it as living there. View it as somebody house sitting until I come back. It's less than a year. Or the other side of it is, if your sister's not comfortable with that, she can pay all of the expenses, which is going to have to include somebody coming by at some kind of periodic interval to make sure everything is okay, because shit can happen to dormant houses, right? Just because you're not there doesn't mean something's not going to happen. Elise Newman dropping the 5 on the YouTube side says, my mom's parents built a home in the 50s with her uncle as a neighbor, and my dad's parents bought it in the 60s. That's how my parents met. That's a Hallmark movie in the making right there, tell you what. There's bound to be a service that can come periodically, like keep up on things. And I mean, there are some options there, but having your friend, it sounds like your view on this right now is essentially, look, my friend needs a place to stay. I need someone to look after the house. So for you, it is a house sitter. For your friend, it's a place to rent. But for your sister, it's a violation of like a family bond. But your sister's not there. Does your sister have a family member ripe and ready to move in there? Because you can't leave it empty. Jen, is your sister willing to move there? Right. That would be the conversation. Be like, look, I can't handle this responsibility because I need to do this to progress my life. This is my solution to allow that to happen without having the full brunt of responsibility, but also without having to transfer that responsibility to you. Unless you're willing to take on 100% of the responsibility, which includes not just the utility side of it, but making sure that it doesn't get invaded, making sure that we don't have pipes bursting, making sure that it is taken care of while no one is here. If she's willing to take that on, it's an option, right? Hatter says, what if a homeless person busts into the house and starts a fire and burns the house down and no one was there? There are always those, like an empty house is problematic. right? Or you could Airbnb it. So here's a question. If OP were to say, okay, instead of having someone live there for a little less than a year, if I turn it into an Airbnb, those people are not living there. They're staying there for like up to a week at a time. Does that make it different? A lot of complications here. Let's dive into the edit. Edit! Thanks to everybody who had actual constructive advice to give me. Makes me think like some people didn't. I really appreciate it, and it made me realize we definitely need to get things figured out on paper and make everything legal. When I texted my sister earlier to tell her I was starting the probate process, she actually admitted she wanted to move back into the house and save us both the hassle of renting. So thankfully, problem solved. I'm happy she's making this decision, and I know it will be better overall. Again, thanks to everybody who saw and understood what I was thinking or what I was trying to do and gave me good advice. Look at that, it all worked out. You know, why that question didn't happen in the first place. Maybe sister wasn't ready for that yet, and this just got sprung on her, and she wouldn't immediately be like, well, then I'll move back into it. She had to take some time and process that, but no matter what, getting the paperwork figured out here is a damn good idea. Because what if you have 50-50 ownership in this, you have 50-50 liability as well, right? Get the paperwork figured out. But yes, happy ending. Happy ending, you don't have that immediate worry. You still have a long-term worry. 1,000 things can go wrong there. I think ultimately, I think this goes to an NTA for me because she was open to alternatives. Yes, the sister had a protest to it, but didn't have a solution to it yet. At the end, when the sister presented a solution to it, OP accepted. So they were both amenable to a compromise at some point here. It just took some work to get there. And compromises like that, right? Sometimes you have to struggle through to be able to see an opportunity open up that does link to a solution. And that's what happened here. So I don't think there was anything malicious behind it. She was really trying to do what was best for the family and for the house and for herself. With her original idea here, didn't ever fathom that sis would be willing to move back into the house until she brought it up. So I'm going NTA here, and it all worked out for everybody. Still, strongly advise getting the paperwork handled out to rule out any potential future problems, right?